here with
Natasha.
who's my lovely daughter, and together we are Knit Inc. And this is episode 11.
Yeah.
And it is March 7th. It's a Sunday. It's another really lovely sunny Sunday, and I came up to visit the kids for the weekend because we went to a yarn bombing event yesterday in Boylston, Massachusetts at some botanical gardens. What were they called?
Yeah,
Natasha?
they were called the Tower Hill Botanical Gardens.
Oh,
so my
that's
friend
right.
Sarah told me about it. So they actually were calling it a yarn storm.
Oh, yes.
And I have a ton of amazing photos that I'll insert as we talk about it. But it was a nice way to spend a sunny Saturday. So the gardens, I'm not sure if they do this every year or what the deal is, but it's a nice way to get people to come to a botanical garden in the winter, especially in New England, where there is not much going on in gardens at this time of year. So a lot of really colorful yarn to the outside area. So they had, I think you said it was over 2,000 pom-poms.
Mm-hmm.
And
All over the place.
Yeah, and it was kind of organized by color. So there was some like red, orange, yellow areas, a lamppost covered there, and kind of a welcome sign, and a couple benches with Bernie on it.
Oh, yeah.
That was the kind of the red orange area, and an area where they had these turtles and a fountain facing each other, and the turtles have water coming out, and the turtle shells had crochet squares on them, and around the trees they had pom-poms falling or like kind of attached to the trees. In that area they had a beautiful like mushroom fairy scene.
Oh, yeah, that was my favorite. And then there was just mushrooms grow, little knitted, actually they were crocheted mushrooms.
Yeah, there was a mix of knit and crochet. They worked with some of the architecture outside, where they had this like trellis area covered with pom-poms and yarn, and
Lots of scarves.
some scarves hanging in different shades of blues and white. They had some trees that had kind of like I Spy, where there would be like a pig and a snake and birds on a swing and an octopus,
Bees and dragonflies.
It was really well done and really nice, and they had information about the artists that you could scan a QR code to learn more. So I think there were about 25 different like
artists, groups, even.
little settings as you move through. So that was really fun. And then we went inside and into the greenhouse area and actually saw some of the fun tropical plants that we'll also put in a few photos of. There was some bird of paradise. There were the maple lantern.
Oh my
tree
gosh,
was
I'd
really
never
cool
seen
too.
that. A beautiful blooming lantern.
Yeah.
I mean maple, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't know that could even happen.
And some orange trees and grapefruits.
Yeah, really cool.
Very nice, yeah. So it was a nice outing, we were outside for a while, and then we went into the warm greenhouses, which was nice because it was a really bitter cold.
Yeah,
wind
even though the sun was
yesterday.
out, the wind was extreme. So I got a ride with my friend Sarah there. It's about an hour west of Boston, and it was about an hour 45-minute trip north for you. So we met you there. Then we walked around, did our thing, went into the beautiful gift shop, got a couple little treats, and then you drove me back to Boston and stayed over last night, and now we're recording. So that was a fun adventure thing we did. But I think this is pretty much 2 weeks since our last recording, right?
Yeah, it's exactly 2 weeks. So gosh, we're sort of on a schedule. So today we're going to talk to you about the usual stuff. Whips. I only have one FO.
I don't have any FOs. I don't have any FOs, but I have 2 whips.
Okay.
But I've been, not besides the botanical gardens yesterday, not much else to report on.
No, life in the pandemic.
You've gotten 1 vaccine shot. Your next one is scheduled for March 15th. So that's good.
Yeah.
And
it was easy. I had no reaction. So
Yeah.
I'm feeling good about that.
yeah, so not much else has changed besides going to the botanical gardens and still knitting away.
And we haven't really started to make any travel plans yet, but starting to slowly think about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so do we want to start with...
How about with my finished object?
Okay.
Which is, this is the first pair of socks for 2021. I finished.
Really? Your first pair for
Yeah,
2021? That
I know,
feels unusual.
It does. I bet I've just been knitting more sweaters, I suppose. These took me quite a while. I would just knit them when I really needed some simple knitting, like during work webinars or things like that. So this is some old sock yarn that I had in my stash for a long time. It's called Online Soccer in the colorway Carnival, and I recently stocked up on some solid colors from Wisdom Yarns, just like some basic wool nylon blend, and this color is called Harbor, and it went pretty perfectly with that, I think.
Totally.
So I cast on the toe of my second vanilla sock for 2021, and I'm going to use this yarn, which is a shopper wool, for a different look.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do these have a recipient for them yet?
So I think they're going to be for one. I have a lot of friends who have birthdays in March. It's going to be for a birthday girl whose birthday is on 30th of March.
Nice.
Yeah. So those are my finished objects. So
I don't have any specific finished objects. I did steek one of those broadgar mittens, but I have a few learnings to do for my second one, so I'll talk about that when I do the second one next time. And then I guess I can say I finished the front of John's sweater.
Oh yeah, that's
something.
That's a lot of knitting.
So the front's done, and I've cast on for the first sleeve. I've gone through the ribbing of the cuff, so hopefully next time I have a sleeve finished. But this is with Knit Picks yarn, Knit Picks Tweedy yarn, City Tweed DK, and I'm knitting the Tweedy sweater. It's a sweater for written for men, and it's going. I'm really hoping I can finish it, that you can at least wear it once before it gets too warm.
Oh yeah.
So.
But you're on the sleeves now, so
yeah, getting there.
There's a real nice softness to it. What's the composition of the yarn? There's something.
It is 55% merino wool, 25% superfine alpaca, 20% Donegal tweed. It's
the alpaca that I can feel in it. Yeah. It is really nice and soft. So
What about you? What are you working on?
So I'm working on, I'm just going to say the Ice Queen by, we didn't say what we're wearing. We're a bit scattered today. Isabel Kraemer. What I'm wearing is by Isabel Kraemer. What I'm working on is by Isabel Kraemer. And she's just had a new sweater pattern released. I really like her sweater designs. So this is, I am not going to say the name.
We said
Snedrongen. I said it.
I'll put it down below.
Translates to Ice Queen. And I think I hadn't started it, but I talked about it a lot in the last episode because I'm using this hand spun. So I talked about that story. And this is going to be for Anna's birthday, which is on the 21st of March. I'm not sure if I will finish it, but I've split for the body, and now it's just plain knitting, so it will go quite quickly. And I love how the hand spun is worked out in this color work pattern.
I'll bring it a little closer.
Yeah.
So you can see.
And so now I'm just on the body, and the cone continues, the whole super soft cloudberry cone continues, and I'm on my second ball of mohair. This is a LRA mohair, so I'm holding these together, and it's going to be interesting to see how much I have left after I finish this sweater. I'm hoping not that much.
So use this for your mystery shawl, Stephen West shawl, and this is the second sweater or the third sweater with it?
The second sweater. I knit the Isbra out of this.
Okay, so
I used about 200 grams of this for the Isbra, and about 100 grams for my slip stravaganza. This was about a 500 gram cone, so I estimated that there were 200 grams left before I embarked on this sweater. One thing that I'm a little bit sad that I didn't do is I didn't weigh the hand spun, so I'm not sure exactly how much I used in this, but I'll be able to get an estimate. I mean, I know how much mohair I used. So now this is basically while I'm on the body, my relaxing knitting. I made the smallest size. In the end, I didn't do any modifications, and I did use a size bigger, size 7 for the color work, and I'm using size 6 for the plain stockinette stitch. Yeah, so that's one of my whips that I'm hurriedly working on.
Nice. Should we say what we're wearing?
Oh yeah, let's segue into that. Okay, you talk about your sweater, Natasha.
Okay, so I've talked about this one before, but I just felt like wearing it today. This is my Cumulus blouse by Petite Knits, and I used an Misty Alpaca lace, which is the black yarn, and then a gray mohair that was Sandgaz yarn.
Sandnesgarn.
I can't say it.
Sandnesgarn.
I can't say it.
Okay, I'll say it for you. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Well anyway.
So this is a V-neck sweater. It's super cozy and fluffy, with I-cord edging.
That V-neck is
which is nice, and I think I knit this pretty close to the pattern. I might have adjusted what size needles or what size I was doing, but I can't remember all my specific modifications, but they're definitely on my Ravelry page for whatever notes I took.
Good.
But yeah, I love wearing this sweater. I just have a tank top underneath, easy peasy to wear.
Nice.
What about you?
I'm wearing the Llevant, which is, I made this in 2019. It's as I said, it's an Isabel Kraemer pattern. It's got some cute little details. It's knitted top down, like I like this little detail here.
Yeah.
And it's knitted in blue face Leicester. I'm just looking at my Ravelry page here. Ailing yarn. So I bought this yarn.
Aisling
yarn. I bought this yarn at the New England Fiber Festival, and I actually used it and knit it into the sweater pretty soon after buying it. The colorway is called Lavender Hill Mob, which is interesting. And it was my knit a sweater in November challenge for 2019, and it's got some really nice detailed slip stitches here in a different colorway.
Yeah, the cuff pattern's really nice
on the sleeve and on the bottom here.
Yeah, really
and I
nice.
used Malabrigo sock yarn for this that I just had in stash called Wales Road, or what it's that color. I've used this color a lot. And then on the back it has a little button.
Oh yeah, there's 2 little buttons here, and these are buttons from my grandma Kathy, right?
Yeah, from her. They're really, really old buttons.
Just rotate a little bit more. There we go. There they are.
Yeah, I think they're buttons that were used on linens. Actually, they're really old buttons that we got from her button stash. Yeah, so it's fingering weight. It's nice and comfy, and it's pilling a little bit, but not too bad. I'll use a gleaner on it.
Okay,
I think at some point. Yeah, so that's what we're wearing. And do you want to talk about your whip that you're working on right now?
I started this right after we were recording last time. I had just done a swatch, and I wasn't sure what pattern I was going to do, but I knew I wanted to do that kind of dusty rose and the gray together and hold them, and do a raglan turtleneck. So I found the pattern, the Caramel Sweater by Petite Knits, and I'm knitting the smallest size, but I'm using size 7 needles, even though the pattern calls for size 6, just because I'm a little bit of a tighter knitter. I was going to do the second size, but then when I got to the raglan increases for the smallest size, I felt like it was big enough. So I only had 4 balls of the pink, and this is what I have left. So I've done the 2 sleeves to where I would then start the ribbing. There's 6 inches of ribbing for both sleeves, and I'm just working on the body. I'm working on the body with the rest of the pink that I have, and when I run out of the pink, I'm going to use some of this. I'm going to use this gray for the ribbing for the end of the sleeves and the body, and I think I'll probably hopefully use the rest of this, so it'll be a little bit of a color blocking, and I just kind of wanted a comfy, easy knit, and this is fitting the bill. It's definitely going to be roomy, but I think that's okay. I was kind of going for that vibe, and I wanted to make sure that the turtleneck when I wore it wasn't going to be like have this weird thing going on. You know, sometimes so I wanted to make sure that the turtleneck would fold down enough and that it would fit here where it wouldn't have to pull, because I noticed in some of the pictures that of people's projects, their turtleneck ends up being like this, and then you could kind of get this action happening, and it's a little bit on Petite Knits' example too, not as dramatic as this, but so I wanted to make sure that there was enough room in the shoulders where I wouldn't have to pull the neck down and have that too much of that show, because I really want it to kind of fold down pretty close to where the ribbing ends when I actually wear it.
So how did you manage to do that then?
Well, she said, I knit the appropriate length for here, and I just tried it on and just made sure I wasn't doing it too small, because I think that's the issue.
Oh, I see.
I think if you make the raglan too small, you end up pulling here, and normally that would just make your neck a little bit bigger. So that's why I'm making it, that's why knitting it on size bigger needles and just making sure that it's not going to pull. So hopefully that'll look okay. There are some short rows in the back for shaping, and it's obviously top down. And at first I thought that you would do the turtleneck after, but you actually start with the turtleneck and keep going. And it's on the same size needles. It's the same size 6 needles, which is interesting. Or I'm doing size 7, but
yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. So
it's got a really nice subtle mauve. I think the grey and blush is a really nice combination. And you've only used 2 50-gram balls of the whole yarn,
I'm
right?
using, this was
the Coast,
the Sophia yarn, I think. And then this is my whole skein. This is my 3rd skein. So I'm probably not even going to use this whole thing. And I have 10 of these because I bought them to do a whole double for a sweater for John. But that project has been abandoned, so instead I'm using it for myself.
And what color is this?
This is called Signet.
Oh, okay. Which is a baby swan, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Signet. So it's kind of a nice gray. And yeah, I'm happy with it. I think I'm going to finish this quite soon and hopefully wear it before it gets springy in here.
Yeah.
And I might cast on one more winterish sweater
before moving on to summer. And this is isn't this mohair we got in Norway?
Yeah,
it's the almost the last of it.
This is the
same mohair.
This is the mohair I used with this sweater.
Well, you're using it all up, which is really great.
Actually, it was a darker shade of this, same yarn but a darker shade.
Okay, and that's I bought that in the most northern yarn store in Norway.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else are you working on?
So my other whip is the winterly sweater, which is definitely getting there, but it needs a little bit more attention than that one. So I think I had finished the sleeves. I think I was at the sleeves last time we talked, or one sleeve was finished and I was working on another sleeve, I think. And now I finished both sleeves. It's a really, really bright purple. Look at that. It's almost iridescent, isn't it? So, and now I'm just gonna hold it up. Now I'm on the body, so it's got this fun.
I love how it's split in half like that. That's such a cool design.
Yeah, so it's a lace pattern here, and this is by Subi Knits, and the pattern's called Winterly. So, one of our viewers asked me what the pattern, who the designer was, because if you search for Winterly on Ravelry, you won't find this pattern. A lot of other things come up, but Subi Knits. And this is the back. It's kind of the opposite of the front.
Okay, yep.
And you repeat this pattern 7 times, and I'm about to finish the 6th repeat, so I'm just going to do 1 repeat and the rib, and then I'm finished. So I have this much yarn left over from one skein for 2 sleeves, so I used about 72 grams for both sleeves, and then I've got this much left that I'm knitting on the body. So I think I'm going to be in good shape with this yarn and manage to make this sweater out of 3 100 grams of this Titus. I talked a lot about this yarn in the previous episode. It's a nice rustic wool. It's a combination of 3 different yarns. It's got it's blue-faced Leicester, and Wensleydale.
Is Wensleydale a cheese?
It's a cheese as well. Yeah, it's an English cheese. It's a really great cheese. So I'm hoping to get this finished pretty soon. But what might really hold me up is that Sock madness has started.
Yes, so you should talk a little bit about sock madness.
So sock madness is a crazy sock knitting competition. This is the 15th year, and it coincides with the basketball season here in the US, March Madness, which is kind of a knockout basketball competition.
For college basketball, right?
Yeah, you start with
That's
64 teams, and it's knockout. So the sock madness, if some of you know about it, is sort of designed along those lines. And there's a qualifying sock. This is just the second year that I'm trying to enter. Last year was my first year. And it's phenomenally well designed. It must take so much work.
The competition, the
competition
of it.
Because there's, I'm guessing, over 2,000 knitters from all over the world participating. So Natasha, I did a post today of my update. Sock madness. So the pattern dropped yesterday about 5 a.m. East Coast time. And so that's another exciting thing about it. You don't know exactly when the pattern's going to be released, but they release specs.
So you sign up.
And
I think you were telling me that I think you can sign up 6 weeks in advance. And so they have warm-up socks every 2 weeks, so you can kind of whip out if you don't think you're gonna get tired of socks,
and they're complicated socks too.
You have a opportunity to do 3 warm-up socks, but you signed up with less than 2 weeks to go, so you didn't end up doing any warm-up socks, but that's fine. So then you have that time, and I think they probably have some community online.
Oh, right? The community
with
is
Ravelry,
phenomenal,
where you can check in with each other and see how everyone's warm-up socks are going.
Yeah, and what people will be gathering their yarn and so on. And I must admit, I did buy some of these solid sock yarns in preparation for the competition, because from last year, a lot of the socks you need really more solid or tonal yarn because the patterns are so complicated.
Rather than like self-striping.
Yeah, and most of my sock yarn stash is self-striping.
Right.
So I stocked up a little bit in preparation this year. Last year I had to do an emergency yarn shop.
Oh my god.
Stop yarn shops to buy yarn. Anyway, the pattern dropped early yesterday morning, but I spent the day driving and going around the botanical gardens, which was really lovely. But the whole time I was chomping at the bit to cast on these socks. And in fact, while I was waiting in the car for Natasha to arrive, I did the cast on, which is a pretty complicated cast on, but it looks like a braid. So this cast on it's an elasticated crochet cast on, which is also known as the Chinese waitress cast on.
Why is it called
hysterical?
Why is it called the Chinese waitress cast on?
According to YouTube legend, it's because somebody was in a Chinese restaurant trying to cast on, and the waitress showed them how to do this cast on.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So it took me 3 tries to get this right. You use a crochet hook, and there's a yarn over, so it's pretty elastic, but it's neat. And there's beads in this sock. So this was all of my knitting yesterday evening. You can see there's this pretty flower.
Yeah, it's really cool how it's done. And you were telling me how you learned how to do these flowers, and it would be fun to add that motif to other projects too. So
yeah, I think this little flower motif, there's 2 beads in the middle.
It's almost like a forget-me-not kind of, isn't it?
Would be really nice on the bottom of a sweater, for example, or
like in the ribbing.
Here. Yeah. And these beads, I went through the bead collection. These were beads when Natasha was a teenager.
I had a phase, but I was really into beading, and thousands and thousands of beautiful beads, and they're all like really nice glass beads. So I'm so glad we still have them, so we can use them for things like this.
And so I was happy that I could find some in the right size that go. So we have 2 weeks to finish these socks, and they have to be knit.
I'm not participating. I'm not much of a sock knitter on regular, just even just regular times, or just plain stockinette socks.
You've only made like one or you have
I've
made a pair.
I've made like 3 pairs, I think, total. Because I have my rainbow ones. I have the ones that were too big that I gave to you. Oh, maybe only two pairs. But I do have some Arne and Carlos sock yarn that I do want to make some.
Oh, yeah.
They have the fjord colorway. So yeah, not my jam, but I do like seeing people's projects come to life. And my friend Hannah, her mom Amy, is participating, so we'll see her progress on Instagram. I remember last year she made it to like round 5, I think.
I made it. I only made it through 3 rounds. I think on the 4th round I didn't make it. So I'll explain a little bit how it goes along as we go along. So right now it's the qualifying sock. So we have exactly 2 weeks from when the pattern dropped to finish this pair. You have to submit photographs. You have to submit a work in progress photograph, and the heel flap and foot are going to get more complicated in this pattern. This is another really hard name to say. But
so if you don't make it in the 2 weeks, then, well, if you do, let's start with, if you do make it, you finish the socks in 2 weeks and you submit your photos, they organize you into teams.
And yours get kind of sorted into teams, sort of similar to Harry Potter sorting style. There'll be teams of 40 people, and there will be, probably at least 26 teams, if not more.
And you get sorted based on kind of your speed.
Yeah.
So with each round, people in that team will get knocked out. So you can kind of explain that as it goes. But this is the first step, is getting the qualifier sock and then getting sorted into a team.
Right. And so
this isn't even round 1.
This is pre-round 1. If you make a really good effort and you knit at least 1 sock and you don't finish, you can be a cheerleader. So you can participate. You'll get access to all the patterns, and these patterns are free, and they're amazingly complex and involved patterns. So if you don't make it for whatever reason, you can be a cheerleader. And if you do make it, you get sorted onto a team of 40, and each team will have their own Ravelry chat group, and they're from all over the world, and another pattern will drop at some point for the first round, and 30 people out of the 40, the first 30 people to finish the sock, make it through to the next round. So I have another couple of friends that are participating in it.
Yeah, your friend Eve.
Yeah, she's the one that roped me into it, actually. I think this is her 3rd year.
Oh, okay.
And Kelly. And you get to a point where you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to take a vacation day to work on the sock. So, so this is I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time working on these socks, because especially the first sock, it takes a bit of concentration to get into the rhythm of it. And I had to put it down last night because I made a mistake. And I'm using Lorna's Lace Soulmate sock yarn, and this is a Old Rose colorway, which
really nice.
is actually pretty similar to the actual pattern, the similar color.
Example, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to have this complex knitting, and it's sitting in my little Arne and Carlos bag.
We finally filmed our Norwegian cruise trip that we took with Arne and Carlos in March 2019. We finally filmed our little episode about that journey and that trip. So that will come up later this week. But here's a little sneak peek. I made this fun book for Christmas for my mom of some of the photos from our trip. And so we will go into some fun details there. Yarny, travel, meeting people.
It's not our typical episode. It's pretty chatty, sometimes rambly, but if you're interested in Arne and Carlos's cruise, you might enjoy it.
Yeah. Or just want to fill a little void of travel right now.
Right.
So that'll come out later this week. And
I think for me, this is all my knitting. The only other thing I'm kind of bubbling is the red sweater for my mom. I already have a pattern. She sent me her measurements. And I think that's it. I'm not even planning anything immediate yet until I finish some of these projects that I've shown you. What about you, Natasha?
Yeah, I might want to do one more sweater, and I saw Jessie May came out with this rift tank top design. Outline tank is what it's called, I think. And it looks like there's fun drop stitches that go along the neck and the center, and it's a linen like a linen cotton one. So that's definitely going to be my first cast on when it gets warm. So I'm thinking about that, but I don't know if I have some linen yarn that's in a tank top already halfway through, and I'm not sure if I'm loving that tank top or not. So I might rip that out and see if that yarn will work for this tank top or not. But I'm not going to do that just yet. That's just on the periphery.
I haven't seen this pattern. Did it just come out?
I think it's not out yet, but I saw her posting on Instagram about it. I don't think the pattern is actually out yet. I think it's coming out later in March.
Oh, okay. So the other thing I want to say is I have been watching a lot of knitting podcasts lately, and I have really grown to enjoy Needles at the Ready, who are also based in Connecticut.
So that's Kevin and Ray, right?
Yeah, they are really great. And also the Bearded Purl.
Yes, we love the Bearded Purl. And I guess while we're on the male knitter theme, I guess it's Christy Glass's Manch, right? She does Manch, where she focuses on male knitters for the month of March. So I guess it's appropriate
we can promote all the
male
knitting episodes, podcasts that we really enjoy. And ARNE and Carlos have a really great sit and knit. Yeah,
ARNE and Carlos do a great sit and knit YouTube video. And we watched last night Max the Knitter and his partner Dell, Dyed by Dells. They are in Canada. They've only just done 2 episodes, but it's beautiful production. I gotta up my editing game here. I'm usually just like too spastic and trying to get the episode out that I don't spend a lot of time doing any of like intricate editing, but they have a beautiful production.
They really do. And they're called Les Garçons.
Yeah, Les Garçons.
And they have gorgeous yarn too.
Oh my god, and their patterns are so nice. Yeah.
Max is working on a design for a sweater that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
It's color work and it's marling and the colors are gorgeous. I sort of want to volunteer to be a tester for that.
Yeah, that would be fun. He said it's going to be like 3 months till the pattern comes out, so it would be nice if you got in for testing to get it earlier.
I have a feeling he needs testers now, and I'm sort of committed to March Madness. I can't.
Oh yeah, you can't take on another project.
I'm just gonna have to be patient and wait for that pattern.
Yeah, it'll be there when you're ready
to come out. It's designed for a man, but I want it for myself.
Yeah, no, I think
it's
some
kind
of the
of
patterns
unisex,
can be definitely be
actually.
unisex. Yeah.
So yeah, and I've also been watching curling, Canadian curling.
Because my dad's really into curling,
which it's kind of a thing you can get addicted to, actually.
That's funny.
And the men's Canadian Championship just started on Friday night. So the curling, it's great knitting watching TV.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not being very coherent right now. But so I think...
Oh, one other thing I want to say. So speaking of Christy Glass, just a few moments ago we were talking about the Manch. She's going to be interviewing us for a mother-daughter special that will be coming out in around Mother's Day. So she's going to interview for us there soon, which is really cool.
I know.
So
I'm
cool.
kind of excited and a little bit nervous about it.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to get ourselves presentable for that one.
and speak in coherent and full complete sentences.
Yes. Yeah, definitely speak in full sentences. And then with my lettering, Christy has these Knit and Escape retreats. They're virtual retreats right now, where she has different demos, and I'm going to do a lettering demo. So that
is this shameless self-promotion time?
Yeah, I guess so.
This is great, Natasha.
Yeah, so this is going to be on April 8th. I think my time slot is 7 p.m. And I think the way she does tickets, I think it's like $10. If you're a Patreon of hers, I think it's $8 with sign up. And that $10 gets you into the demos, and they'd have like virtual marketplace and like some virtual knit nights. I think it's over 2 or 3 days. And then you can pay for virtual classes that range probably from $20 to $60 from people like Patty Lyons. And so she has some classes you can take and then some demos. So I'm going to be doing a demo. So I think you just need the marketplace ticket for that. So I'm figuring out some of my schedule there. You don't you don't necessarily need some of the pens, but it would be great to have them. So I will do some more information about that as we get closer. I'm getting a camera so that I can film overhead and hopefully up my production game a little bit. And so I'm working on that in the background as well. I'm excited to share my lettering world a little bit more with you guys.
Is that going to be a live session that you're going to do?
Yeah, it'll be live. I don't think it'll be like recorded to do, but it'll kind of get my feet wet and maybe I can do something else after. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be great.
That's really exciting. Yeah.
I think we'll get another episode or two in before then, at least one episode before April 8th. And yeah, I think this was like a lot really quickly, but that's because we were just trying to fit a lot in so that we can then have that little surprise drop of the Arne and Carlos trip episode. And I think that's about it. So
yes, so stay well.
Yeah, keep healthy, stay healthy.
Wash your hands, wash your needles, enjoy your hobbies, and until next time.
Thanks for watching. Bye.